Welcome to my Gran Turismo 7 and Simhub video. This is going to be basically an introduction, and then I'll do a series of videos where I can get into more of the details and settings and how certain things work. But for this first one, it'll be an overview. What is Simhub? What does it allow you to do? Well, Simhub is an application that runs on a Windows computer. And Simhub basically is taking the telemetry data from Gran Turismo and using it to create effects for things like base shakers, butt kickers, transducers, whatever term you prefer. And you can use it for custom dashboards. You can use it for running a real life tachometer. You can use it for wind simulation. You can use it for a motion rig. So let's just show you here. We're at simhub-.com. This is where you get the software, and you can get some support here. There's also a Discord server for more direct support. But before we get to the download here, we'll show you a little bit about Simhub. It supports over 80 games, 100 plus supported devices. So Dash Studio, you can create your own dashboard. So if you ran a separate monitor, you could have a dashboard that gives you all the information you want, totally customizable. Haptics, that's what I was talking about, base shakers, here you can kind of see them. And motion, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole and do a motion rig. And then, like I said, I'm using mine also for wind simulation and rumble pedals. So I've got little rumble motors that I took out of some old PS4 controllers, and those are attached to my rig. We'll get into my actual rig. I've got some B-roll here that you can see some of the stuff on it, but as we continue this series, we'll go into more details on the specifics. How does this work? You get a Windows PC. It does not have to be very powerful. It's just going to be taking the data and creating these effects. But you do need a Windows PC for Simhub to run on. You're going to click that download button. You're going to download Simhub and install it on your Windows PC. For my setup, I'm actually using an old MacMini with an Intel processor in it so that I could run Windows on it, just because I happen to have a cheap, otherwise worthless MacMini laying around, so I used it for this. I did use Boot Camp to get that on there, but I won't go into details on how you do that unless somebody really wants to. We can do a video going into that. But essentially, you're going to need a Windows machine. You're going to install Simhub on it. Then once you get Simhub running, it looks something like this. Mine is just showing Gran Turismo. This video is really going to be focused on using Simhub with Gran Turismo. Simhub does work with, like they said, 80 plus games. Here's a quick look at a bunch of them. And so you can, if you play multiple games, you can have these all selected so that they show up on your home screen there. I have used Simhub with iRacing. I did a video about a year ago. It's called something like I tried iRacing after 20 plus years of Gran Turismo. I go a little bit into some of the Simhub stuff, and you can check that video out. But I'll just tell you, if you already like iRacing and you want to hear somebody make a comparison, you're not going to like the video. If you already like iRacing, just skip it. Go on to something else. This video is going to be on Gran Turismo and Simhub. So once you have Simhub running like this on your PC, side note, the way that I'm controlling my Windows PC, I use a third-party VNC program called Jump Desktop. I think it was about $30 at the time I bought it. There's lots of VNC or remote desktop type options out there. This one worked out for me. So how I use it, I'm a Mac guy. For me, this works super easy to run jump desktop on my Mac laptop and VNC into the Windows machine, which is what I'm doing right now. So once you have your Windows and Simhub running and your Gran Turismo 7 running on PS4 or PS5, you would go into here. And then you're going to go back on your console and you're going to make a note of the IP address. So it's under network settings, or it's like settings, network config, or network status, something like that. You can find it. And then you're going to put your IP address in here. And really that should be all you need to do. If for some reason it doesn't show that it's connected, you might have to make some changes to the ports. I didn't have to do this. So I'm not really going to go into it because this is just you're getting into IT stuff and setting up your router for port forwarding and things like that. So hopefully you don't need to do that. Here's a brief overview of what's in Simhub. Dashboard, car settings. I guess you could, I don't actually use this. You can use this for different car settings. Here's some of the devices. No, here's not the devices. That's where your devices would be. So if you had like a flag display or something like that, it would go in there. Statistics. These look like a bunch of sessions running. I actually haven't even looked at that. So that's the best lap I ran on a time trial I was just doing in Gran Turismo. That's pretty cool. Dash Studio is pretty dope. You have a bunch of different dashboards that if you wanted to, you could set your laptop up next to your TV and run these. We'll get into that a little bit later. Arduino is essentially, it's like a small mini computer that you can have Simhub send information to, and then the Arduino can do things like trigger your rumble motors or your wind simulation. I'll also get into the details of that. Here is one way to do your wind simulation. I'm actually using it on the motors. I'll describe the difference there. We'll get into those details. Shake It Base Shakers is, like the name implies, for base shakers. We will get into the details of that as well. Shake It Motors is where I'm running my rumble pedals and my wind simulation. And we'll get into those details as well. The short version is this is a super powerful software package that works with lots of games, including Gran Turismo. And we're going to get into how we do that. We'll get into the details here on the next video. I'm probably starting with base shakers because that's the first one that I did. But before I get into that, if you guys have specific questions on using Simhub with Gran Turismo and either how to set it up or what you can do with it, or specific settings that you want to see, just drop them in the comments and I'll start using that to build the next video and dig into whatever things you guys want to see next. Cool.